Yeah, it was 70 years ago today that Channel 9 signed on the air. And over these 70 years of service, well, there have been very many personalities that have traveled these hallowed halls. Not many, though, have enjoyed the success that our next guest has. Tom Costello joining us now from the NBC News Washington newsroom. Tom grew up here in the metro area, went to Arapahoe High School and CU, but then interned here at 9 News and worked for us as a reporter from 1989 to 1995. Tom, it's good to see you. You own such a big piece of the legacy that belongs here, and I just wanted to talk to you about the old days. Who are the ones you watched? Who are the ones you got to work with that influenced you the most as far as journalism?
You know, in all seriousness, Tom, it was a dream come true for me to land at 9 News. I mean, I had grown up watching, Ed and Mike Landis and Stormy and all of the folks, Mike Nolan and company. And so I really wanted to work there. And I went to CU, studied journalism. So then to eventually land there as a reporter was just a dream come true. And to get to work beside you were a sports reporter back then. Kim Christensen, of course, and I were reporters together. And I got to say, I find that in this business, you borrow a little bit of the people you worked with. There's a little bit of the writing style of Gary Shapiro I like to use, and Mark Kobrick, for example, and Ed, and Mike. And you take little pieces and you make your own style. And I got to say, these were formative years for me, and I am so thankful to have had that time at 9 News.
Yeah, I would agree with you. There were so many people here that had an impression on you, and you're lucky to have good people around you when you are impressionable. But now, for 26 years, you're there with NBC News, and we get the chance to talk about how much journalism has changed. How do you right now see the evolution of this profession?
Well, listen, it's a challenging time for journalism. I mean, that's no secret, right? We have newspapers across the country that are in jeopardy or are failing. And news organizations like ours need to dominate as many platforms as possible, whether that's on cable, on the internet, on broadcast, because the audience is splitting. It's choosing to find their news wherever they can, but on multiple platforms that are most convenient to them throughout the day. And so that's fine. We just need to be able to offer that to them at every turn. And I know you're doing the same thing there in Colorado with your 9news.com and with your Channel 20. I think that's what we have to do. We've got to be flexible. It's no longer appointment viewing necessarily to watch NBC Nightly News or 9 News or 5 or 10, but to be able to get your news when you need it. And I think we're getting pretty good at that. But it's a challenge for some of us old timers that were used to watching 9 News at 10 o'clock as appointment viewing.
Well, you still get back here a lot, back to Colorado. In your recent role, you came back to Boulder as a commencement speaker for your alma mater. Talk a bit about what that message is, what you tell young journalists and what you tell youngsters in general now, as you call us old timers.
Well, I got to tell you, that was the thrill of my career. And I mean that sincerely, to be invited to come back to my alma mater and speak at CU Boulder back in May. 30,000 people. I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking, but thankfully it was a beautiful day. It wasn't snowing on us. My message was really that I had kind of a bigger, broader message that we as a society have got to start listening to each other, right? We've got to give each other the benefit of the doubt, not assume the worst of each other, assume the best of each other. As journalists, we have to listen to all sides, not just one side or the other, but all sides, and come to it with an open mind. The biggest mistakes I've ever made in my career have been when I assumed I knew something, whether it was a fact or could even be a spelling or simple math, and I was wrong because I assumed. And I try to take that open mind in every conversation and in every interview. There's always a chance to learn something from somebody else, and try to present all sides as fairly as possible. But we as a society have got to start doing that and stop being so committed and so convinced that the other guy, because he or she may be in another political party, that they're the enemy. I don't think so. I think Americans look out for each other and stand up for each other. And when we start believing we're the enemy, then we're in trouble. We're not the enemy. We are our neighbors and our friends and our relatives.
When you say it that way, it's interesting about listening to people because never before has it been more easy to be heard. Anybody has a chance to tweet or to speak and be heard, but you also have that same opportunity to listen. When you and I were working in the newsroom here back, 30 years ago, it was one of those things where very few people would take time to call in or send a letter to let us know what they feel. Now people let you know what they feel right away, and you should listen.
I got to say, it's valuable. It keeps me honest. You know, none of us is above making a mistake. And so when somebody tweets at me, hey, you messed up, or hey, you might want to consider this too, I appreciate that. You don't need to use four-letter words, but I appreciate the fact that somebody's trying to set me straight or give me the right perspective or their perspective. And, you know, many times I've thought, that's probably true. Maybe I can incorporate that the next time I do this story. Listen, I think, you know, we're not the voice of God. We are literally trying to present all sides of the news as best we can every single day. And the reason that we're celebrating 9 News is because, boy, there are very few stations in the country that do it as well as KUSA in Denver. And you can ask anybody in this newsroom. They know the reputation of 9 News in Denver, and it is known around the country.
Well, on behalf of the many who came before us and the many who are still here, thanks for saying that. It's always good to visit with you, Tom. We'll see you when you get back to Colorado. Thanks for taking some time to visit with all of us today.
Okay, buddy. Congratulations and happy birthday to Channel 9.